think there's a reason not to be surprised completely just on paper because he is 35 years old. He's the oldest ever Masters Series champion by winning Indian Wells. And he came off a year that was very up and down and was one of the most uncertain of his career with long injury layoffs quite a few times. So there wasn't very high expectations for Roger coming in 2017. That being said, the seas have parted for him a bit. Djokovic and Murray have both had less than stellar starts to the year. They both failed to reach the quarterfinals at either Australian Open or Indian Wells, and now they both pulled out of Miami. So there is a bit of an open path here for Federer that he's taking advantage of that I don't think people thought they would be there for him. I think he did enough, even with that one free pass against Kyrgios, and then not the toughest semifinal opponent with Jack Sock being in his first semi. I think still it was a very, very true and legit run. I think it's pretty hard to question it. In both Australia and Indian Wells, he beat Rafael Nadal, who's been considered his utter nemesis throughout his career, and he did times both so, especially in Indian Wells, in incredibly convincing fashion, beating him only in 68 minutes in Indian Wells, and it was just one of the biggest thrashings that Federer has ever given to Nadal. And so I think that validates any sort of run he had. And then he was very good against Dan Wawrinka, who is the U.S. Open champion most recently, a three-time major winner, and a tough player. So we've seen this trend in tennis, both men's and women's, of champions getting older and older. And also, conversely, the new generation not being able to break through at all. And these same old champions, old relatively when it comes to, Djokovic and Murray only turning 30 this year, but still that was considered past peak and decades ago in tennis for sure. These guys are showing that there can be life after 30, even at 35. And Federer looks fresh and ready to go. And you're right, his backhand has been incredibly impressive. That's the one shot that stood out most. He has a newfound confidence in it, newfound intensity on it and focus on it. And it's turned into a really devastating weapon, even against Nadal, against whom it had previously been a pretty clear liability. And he's also has been a bit cagey about what he thinks his clay court scheduling is going to be. He might play a very light schedule on the European clay this year, maybe even possibly skipping the French Open. We're not sure. And so Miami would stand then as the last big event he has for quite a few months. And that would mean he could give his all, even if he is a bit tired from having played those 5 matches in Indian Wells. They weren't the most physically taxing matches. And I would think having a bit of a mini finish line in sight at the end of Miami could give him a sort of a second wind.